could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Admits, and today I'm going to launch another playlist, and the name of the playlist is Drug a Day. So in this playlist I will be uploading videos about drugs, okay, not those drugs, but I must say the medications, okay. And today we are going to see one of the class analgesic, okay. So in the analgesic class we have to discuss acetylsalicylic acid first. So let's discuss. So first of all, we have to discuss about the brand name. Brand name of the acetylsalicylic acid is very well known. That is aspirin, and then comes the dosage form. So in Pakistan, there are two dosage forms of aspirin. Number one is the suppository dosage form, and number two is the tablet dosage form. Now, if the patient is being given with the tablet, then the dose must be from 300 milligram to 500 milligram. And in case of suppository, dose must be adjusted between 50 milligram to 150 milligram. Now, some of the things to discuss about how to take, and after how much time we can take another dose of aspirin or acetylsalicylic acid. So we have to take salicylic acid after 4 hours if the dose is 350 milligram or less than 350 milligrams. But if dose is up to 500 milligrams, then after 6 hours you have to take the second dose. And make sure that you take the dose with food. Okay. Then we have to discuss some specific specifications, which includes indications and the contraindications, and then we will see the side effects. So we have to discuss about indications, contraindications, and the side effects of aspirin. So first of all, we have to discuss indications, those conditions in which we have to use aspirin. So those conditions are pain. If you're feeling pain in the body, then you can use aspirin. And if you are suffering from fever, you can go for it. And if you're suffering from angina pectoris, okay, angina pectoris is uh, angina pectoris is a condition of the chest pain. The chest pain that arises only because when there is blockage in any of the artery, the blockage of artery results in the less blood supply to the heart muscles, due to which heart muscles or the cardiac muscles become deprived of oxygen, and hence the pumping of the heart is not enough uh, good. That's why there will be pain, there will be chances of the cardiac failure, there will be chances of the myocardial infarction, heart attack. So in case of myocardial infarction, in case of angina pectoris, and in case of pain, in case of fever, you can use aspirin. There are two more conditions: osteoarthritis, the degeneration of the cartilage leading to the joint pain, and rheumatoid arthritis, which is the pain of the body due to the damage of the body tissues. Okay, and rheumatoid arthritis is one of the autoimmune disorder. Okay, so next we have to discuss contraindications. So we have only two contraindications in case of aspirin, and those contraindications are bleeding diathesis and intracranial hemorrhage. In case of diathesis, our body is just framed in such a way that our body just becomes very sensitive to any kind of bruise. If there is a very light bruise on the surface of the skin, there will be bleeding, and the bleeding is not going to stop anyway. Now, what is the reason behind it? So we will discuss the reason when we will go for the mode of action or the mechanism of action or the pharmacodynamic of the acetyl salicylic acid. And the second thing is intracranial hemorrhage. What is intracranial hemorrhage? It is obviously, as the name indicates, it is a bleeding of the inside the skull due to the rupture of any artery in case of any trauma, in case of any car accident, in case of any other accident, okay, or in case of any fight, okay. So these are the two contraindications, okay. And why these are the contraindications, I will tell you in the segment of mode of action. So stay tuned. Now, if there is a case of overdose of aspirin, then what happens? In case of overdose of aspirin, side effects will appear, and those side effects are rashes, okay, then it will lead to the ulcers. It will also induce to some extent seizures if we are taking very high doses of aspirin. And as I have told you that there will be ulcers, so before ulcers, what will happen? Before ulcers, there will be pain. Okay, so I must declare it as abdominal pain. Okay, and also the heartburn. So these are some of the side effects which are produced as a result of overdose of aspirin or acetyl salicylic acid. Okay, so I will discuss the detail of these side effects and the indications and the contraindication details in the next segment. Very pleasing thing to me to discuss, and that is the mode of action of acetyl salicylic acid. So, in case of acetyl salicylic acid, we have to know about some of the enzyme. These enzymes are COX-1, COX-2, and one more LOX enzyme. So these are the enzymes which are present inside the cells. Okay, so we have arachidonic acid, one of the fatty acid, that will be transformed into prostaglandins and leukotrienes. Okay, now if there is COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes present, then arachidonic acid will be converted into prostaglandins. And if LOX enzyme is
thromboxanes.
dominant over the COX enzymes, then what will happen? Then arachidonic acid will be converted into leukotrienes. Very easy. Now, there are two types of COX enzymes, COX-1 and COX-2. Now, COX-2 causes the release of prostaglandins for the purposes such as pain, such as inflammation, such as fever. While in case of COX-1, what will happen? Prostaglandins will be produced, and the function of
Thromboxanes.
the prostaglandins will be to regulate or
Thromboxanes.
to maintain the homeostasis. Okay, so this is a small background that was very important to be made. So aspirin function is to inhibit COX enzyme. So it is non-selective COX enzyme inhibitor. What does it mean? It means that aspirin will cause the inhibition of COX-1 as well as COX-2, due to which prostaglandins for the fever, for the pain will also die, along with the prostaglandins which are important to regulate the body functions such as mucus secretion in the GIT, such as platelet formation for the clot formation. So these are some of the things which are important. In case of COX-1, there will be inhibition of the homeostasis process. Whenever you are going to use aspirin, aspirin will cause the inhibition of COX-1 and COX-2. Due to the inhibition of the COX-2, your pain, your fever will be over, your osteoarthritis will be over, your rheumatoid arthritis will be over. But along with these, you will suffer from the intracranial bleeding, you will suffer from other hemorrhages. Okay, You'll suffer from diathesis, and one more thing. Due to the inhibition of COX-1, there is one thing, there will be reduced secretion of mucin. Due to the reduced secretion of mucin, there will be ulcers production inside the GIT, and that we have discussed in the side effects of aspirin. Now we have seen the contraindications, intracranial hemorrhage and diathesis. Okay, these two conditions, there will be bleeding, excessive bleeding, and in the bleeding in such a way that there will be no stoppage of bleeding. Okay, so in those conditions you have to focus on using the selective COX-2 inhibitors, which includes paracetamol. Okay, you can't use COX-1 COX-2 inhibitors, means you can't use non-selective COX inhibitor. Okay, so if you are using aspirin, there will be no platelet formation, there will be no coagulation. When there is no coagulation, means there will be no blockage for the blood to stop bleeding. Okay, so there will be excessive bleeding. It has an advantage as well, What is the advantage? Advantage is that if there is no clot formation, means you will not suffer from myocardial infarction. Why? Another condition, there is another condition, ischemic stroke. Okay, that is less blood supply into the brain because of the clot formation. So when there is no clot formation due to the absence of platelets, okay, there will be more, or there will be enough blood supply to the heart and to the brain to overcome the oxygen demands. Okay, so that was the mode of action, and so that was all about acetylsalicylic acid, also known as aspirin commonly. So if you have liked the video, please make sure to like, subscribe and share this video. So hopefully we'll meet you in the next video very soon. Till then, it's Sohaib Tahir from ZMeds signing out.
We're beautiful.